G'day all, and welcome back to the Freo Faithful podcast. Mixed emotions in today's episode because we've got our fearless leader back, but we went down by about 200 points on Friday night. Drewz, you've come back to an absolute shit show, haven't you?
Yeah, fearless leader's back. He was back last week. Alex Pierce, what a mark that was. I appreciate the kind words, but I'm far from fearless leader. But you've smashed it since I've been away. You and Zach holding it down. I was listening to a bunch of podcasts, interrailing through Europe and whatnot, and yeah, held the fort down well. Shame I come back to an absolute stinker, but we're gonna unwrap it all, I suppose.
I do just want to ask before we get into whatever Friday night was. You were obviously away for about 6 Freo games, if I were to guess. How much did you consume of our games as a whole, and how much could you really take it in? Because I'd assume our sorts of opinions on that, because we basically lost one game from the time you were away. We lost that Sydney game and we won the rest. I assume our opinions were probably pretty varying because we watched it in different circumstances. What did you sort of make of that 6-week patch?
I managed to watch every single game.
Okay.
The only part I missed was like the first quarter of the Hawthorn game because I woke up hungover in Budapest and just couldn't get up in time for it. But watched the Collingwood game on the train to Munich. We were going through the Slovakian countryside and we just had a phone up. I was at a music festival last weekend and woke up again pretty hungover and just had our phone against a water bottle watching Alex Pierce take a screamer to win us the game. I feel like the ability to win games has obviously been quite impressive. Like games where last year we would have lost them and given up. We've shown improvement in our ability to stick to the game plan, not get frazzled and come from behind to win. We did that against Hawthorn, Collingwood and Port Adelaide in the time that I was away. But I still think our midfield is a step below where it was last year. Our forward line's massively improved. Our defensive game has always been there. But our midfield's really letting us down at the moment, and I'm not sure what it is. I feel like it's rather one off Sarong or Brayshaw that are playing well at the moment. They're not really both firing at the same time. On the weekend, Strong had a great first half. Brayshaw only had 6 touches, and then that flipped in the second half. I don't know what it is with the midfield at the moment, but heading into that Brisbane game, obviously a lot of talk about Fyfe with his announcing his retirement during the week. I don't know. I feel like we might have got lost in the smoke a little bit, got a little bit ahead of ourselves as a fan base. A really mature side like Brisbane just took advantage. So overall, what I'm saying is we haven't really been playing our best, although it's been impressive to get the wins. But I think we got a little bit ahead of ourselves because our game's far from complete.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a little bit disappointed with the playing group, to be honest, because I think I've reinforced it in the last few podcasts that we as a fan base are okay to get ahead of ourselves. This is our job as fans, to get excited, to sort of look to the promised land. But it really felt like on Friday, the players' focus was completely off. And I'm not going at one player's intent or pressure. I think everybody showed up, and I think they tried really hard. You look at the Saints game earlier this year, we folded over, we didn't try, our intent wasn't there, our pressure wasn't there, nothing went right. I honestly think we put our heart into that performance on Friday, but we got scared of the occasion, we got ahead of ourselves, and our execution was terrible. So it wasn't one where I was filthy with the group. It was one where I really feel like we can fix it up against the Bulldogs next week. It's purely down to execution. And I feel like we bounced back after some pretty bad losses this year. So I agree with you. I think over that patch, we've done really well at just finding ways to win. You mentioned those games. We did it against Carlton as well after conceding the first 5 goals. So we're doing it against different types of opposition, good and bad. And there have been a few debates whether we've even improved this year. We've won 3 more games than last year. We've beaten basically every team in the top 8. The team we're playing next Sunday, we've already beaten this year. We've beaten the minor premiers in the Adelaide Crows. So we've done a lot right this year. It's just the fact that this loss has come at such a critical time of the season, which sort of puts... I'm not sure if it puts Jail's job on the line or whatnot. It's really hard to say. I personally don't think you can sack him after a 15-win season. But yeah, it's come at a really bad time, hasn't it?
Yeah, man, heading into Marvel next Sunday is going to be like walking into the gates of hell. Like, I don't like going to that place to watch Freo at the best of times, but like that's going to be the game of the season. All eyes are going to be on that game because it's going to be winner goes through to finals. You sort of spoke about a lot there. JL should not get sacked. I think he's done such a good job to get this group to where it is. So yeah, any talk about that, I think silly, even if we just miss out. It's such a tight season. Like the gap between second and ninth is ridiculous. And I think like every team this season has displayed such a high level of football that can challenge any team. So yeah, back to the Brisbane game. I just felt like we were slightly off, mainly in the front half. Like we just looked nervous when we had the ball in hand. Like it was such a high pressure game that when we finally sort of broke free off that, we were expecting the pressure to come. Like there was so many like times in the game. One that sticks out to me is like the Jager O'Meara like front punt that he had from like 20 meters out, like options everywhere and just getting nervous. But in the first like half, Vossi missed a chance, Frederick missed a chance, Murphy Reid missed a chance. Probably someone I'm forgetting. I think maybe Sean Darcy might have missed one as well. And like if those go through, it just settles the nerves a little bit. And when you're slightly off against such a good opposition, like a 60-point loss or whatever it was in the end, like it looks worse than sort of what it is. And I know that's a bit of a cop out, but I thought like in the first half our midfield matched up with theirs, and we just missed chances at crucial times. If you look back at the goals that Brisbane scored in the first half as well, I think it was one was a 50. Zach Bailey kicked one over his head. Another two were from free kicks. Like, Charlie Cameron ran into an open goal after a free kick was paid. So, it wasn't like our defensive structure was broken down. Like, the goals that they were getting were far from conventional. Or, like, you know, it wasn't like their offensive machine was just dominating us. And we were just missing our chances. In the second half, completely different story. They were, running right all over us. But, exploited a lot of holes in this side, Noah. I've got some strong opinions on some players from that performance on Friday night that, I'm keen to get into.
Yeah, it's a really, really weird one to unpack as a fan as well, because the only other loss you can sort of compare that to this year, maybe the Geelong game earlier on, but in particular the Saints game, they're our two biggest losses, to Friday night games on a primetime stage. That Saints game, we were just off from the start, and obviously St Kilda are a lesser opposition. Brisbane, we had 3 more scoring shots than them to halftime. As you mentioned, it was really that third quarter that just completely caught us off guard, and they ran riot. But I thought it was the guys forward of the ball that really lacked composure that cost us. So I thought 2 guys that, the occasion didn't get the better of them, and I thought their ball usage and their decision-making was quality all day. 2 guys that stuck out to me were Caleb Serong and Murphy Reid. I thought all day they just knew where to put the ball, they knew where to find the ball, and they always did the right thing when they had the ball in hand. On the other hand, when you've got guys on half forward, pushing up into stoppage, doing whatever, like Michael Frederick and Shea Bolton, that, their decision-making is leaving a lot to be questioned. A lot of the time, especially where I sit level 5 of the ground, so I can see where all of our key forwards are leading. So many times, those 2 in particular are just burning Vossi, Nev, Tracy, and it's so frustrating. So there's a bit of selfishness creeping in, I think, a bit of trying to play hero ball, and especially for Shea Bolton, it's difficult because he's just come from a team for 6 years where he's had the license to do that, and he's been able to execute that. And I'm sure he's still got the license at Freo, but he's becoming a real frustrating player and a bit of a problem in the past few weeks. We know Shay's talent, so we want him to keep expressing himself and playing football in that way. But we really need him to remove that sort of selfish nature out of his game, because it's sometimes costing us in these sorts of games, or nearly costing us.
Yeah, Frederick was so good against Port Adelaide, and then, just had a stinker against Brisbane. I think, Sam Switkowski as well. Like, I was thinking of the leaders of the team, like Sarong, Pearce, and Tracy all had really good games. But Switter, for me, as much as we love him and the pressure that he brings, he's far too hit or miss at times. Maybe I've got a bit of a pessimistic view here, but I feel our form is so dependent on how a guy like Sam Switkowski plays, like particularly with his ball use. And Michael Frederick as well, and Shea Bolton, like their ball use on Friday night was just, left so much to be desired when we're aware of how good those guys are with the ball in hands at times. So, I thought Murphy Reid had a good game in that sort of medium forward brigade. Shea Bolton, little bit frustrating. He plays with a lot of flair and that type of thing. When he's not in form, that flair just becomes pretty frustrating to watch. Well said. I think, just shades of 2024 in that Brisbane game. Just looked nervous. And we haven't looked like that all year. Like, I feel like we were well set up to at least compete in that game. And we just got in our own head. Jackson was another one who missed a chance early in the game that I missed earlier. And he's been such a good set shot for us this year. I want to continue on the forward line, and I want to get into my whipping boy, Jai Amos, right? I know that you have stuck up for this guy a lot, right? And you've also criticised him when he hasn't been good enough, and earlier in the year we're like, can he go back to the waffle, that type of thing. I just want you to look at a forward line like Adelaide's, right? They got Fogarty, Thilthorpe, and Tex Walker, 3 genuine key forwards. I don't think you could find a game this year where Fogarty, Thilthorpe, or Tex Walker had 3 touches. And it's like, Jai Amos does that pretty much every week. 3-4 touches, maybe he kicks 1 goal. You know, he's had a couple good games. Against Port Adelaide, he didn't touch the ball until there was like 6 minutes left in the third quarter. And like, yes, he had a good moment to like crash a pack, which led to a goal. But you just need to be delivering so much more. I'm done with trying to defend someone that's getting 3 or 4 disposals in a game. I don't care if you're a deep lying forward. The best forward lines, like the Hawthorn 3-peat side, Gunston, Buddy, Roughhead, they're all making an impact for 4 quarters. Jai Amos just hasn't been good enough this year. Simple as that. You look at that forward line of Switter, Voss, Bolton, Frederick, Amos, Tracy, and Amos is the weakest link, to be honest. And it's a bit pessimistic, but let's be real, he just hasn't been good enough.
It's got me thinking about the structure, certainly. Jai Amos's performance, that Port Adelaide game in particular, and just adding on to that on Friday. I'm sort of thinking there's a few things that interlink into what we could do with the forward structure. I think we could revert back to 2 talls, or maybe have Jackson as our 3rd tall, because I look at Luke Jackson's role over the past few weeks. He's been playing as a rover, but what the good players have tended to do, Harley Reid did it when we played West Coast. Zach Butters did it when we played Port. George Hewitt did it when we played Carlton. They match up, no matter who they're matched up to at the start of the stoppage, they end up finding themselves next to Jackson, getting the ball and burning off him. So when Jackson has the ball, he's a very creative and really solid contributor to the team. But when we don't have the ball, he gets burnt off and we're at a massive disadvantage at the stoppage. So if you interlink that with Jai Amos, do you send Jackson back down to the forward line? Because Sean Darcy had probably one of his best games of the season on the weekend. I'm not sure how noticeable it was for you, but I thought he was absolutely huge in a game where we were getting beaten pretty comprehensively all over the ground. So I'm sort of thinking a Tracy Voss Jackson setup would be best for us at this point in the season, but I'm also wary of the risks that come with changing a structure we've used all season, going into our biggest game of the season, last round of the year. There are so many risks attached, but I think JL is going to have to do something of that manner.
Yeah, the 2 ruck and having Jackson in there works well when Darcy's hitting it down the players' throats. And Sean Darcy has built so well into this season. I think his tackling, the pressure he's bringing around stoppages, and his ability to have looks on goal, like, big credit to Sean Darcy with all the criticism he's faced this year. But you've nailed it on the head there. Like, if we don't get first hands on the ball, it's so easy for a Zach Butters to just fly off him, or an Ashcroft or Dunkley, whoever it was, on the weekend. And yeah, look at that forward line and you go, Vossi's kicking 6 against Collingwood. Tracy's trying to make an impact and crashing packs for 4 quarters and working up and down the ground. I think, you look in our key forward stocks and there isn't really all that much there. Maybe a couple young fellas in the 2s, but yeah, I think pushing Jackson forward makes a lot of sense. I don't know how much we can continue to persevere with Jai Amos, because you can't defend the performances. So yeah, I get what you mean as well. We don't want to make such wholesale change heading into the last game of the season. We've won 11 from 13. Are we getting, a bit aggressive and throwing the baby out with the bathwater, as JL would say? But no, you make good points there. I would probably rather see Amos drop out, Jackson play more time forward, and yeah, have another zippy midfielder in there. So almost bring out Amos for a midfielder. Not sure how that would look, but yeah, he's JL's favourite at the moment. Like, we'll defend him no matter what. Jeremy Sharp was a player that we spoke about a couple months ago now. We were speaking about, like, can he be dropped? And then the next week he got dropped and he hasn't found his way back into the side. And that was a good call by JL. Like, the selection integrity came to question. He made the hard call and he hasn't been able to come back into the side. But Jai Amos has just been one that, yeah, we spoke about him a lot now. But, yeah, something needs to happen there. And we definitely need to add more to our key forward stocks in the trade period or the draft this year.
I agree with you that if we were to shake up the structure, it would probably be Amos out for a midfielder. And you think that Hayden Young and Matt Johnson are both going to be tests for this weekend. I don't think they can both come in. I don't think Jono's going to get back in. I think Erasmus has done enough to hold his spot. But we need Hayden Young in this team. I'm not sure what it looks like if Fyfe's going to be sub again or if we play him from the start. That's a discussion for later on. But there's so much we need to discuss with that midfield. One of your boys is having a patch of form that Jeremy Sharp sort of had earlier this season, where he started the season fine, but he sort of started started fading out of games and struggling to make an impact from a wing that wasn't necessarily cold, but he certainly wasn't, pushing on the inside anywhere near enough for what a winger should be, and that's Nathan O'Driscoll. He's had a pretty steep patch of form over the past few weeks, and he's been the fan base's whipping boy over the past few weeks in particular, and I think his spot on the team is massively in jeopardy. Jeremy Sharp had a really good game for Peel on the weekend, and he's putting together some pretty nice form. What do you reckon about that wing spot? Because I personally don't think we look amazing when we have Erasmus and O'Meara on the wing, two bulky midfielders. I think we need at least one genuine winger in the team. Do you reckon this is the week we could recall a Jeremy Sharp, or what do we do with Nathan O'Driscoll?
Yeah, I think O'Driscoll gets dropped on the form that he's had. Like, there was a real frustrating moment. We ended up getting a goal from it, but O'Driscoll took an uncontested mark on the half-forward flank and just, stopped, held up, and then just put this moon ball in that got intercepted. It comes out, Alex Pearce takes an intercept mark, straight away identifies Tracy and hits a bullet into him. And it's like, that's how we need to be delivering to the forwards. I feel like O'Driscoll's best football has been played as an inside midfielder in the last 12 months. He just hasn't been able to massively impact the game from the wing. And I love this guy. I'm Nathan O'Driscoll's number one fan. But yeah, I think when Hayden Young was out of the side and before his injury, O'Driscoll was playing on the inside, he looked much better. I feel like our wing situation is a bit of a conundrum because, like you said, O'Meara and Erasmus, they're on-ball players. I think Erasmus played a bit of inside and out against Port Adelaide, but that was probably the best game I've seen Neil Erasmus play.
Yep.
O'Meara has made a career on the inside, and it's almost like they're too good to not play, so we're just pushing them to the outside. So yeah, I'm a bit bamboozled with what to do with the wingers. I think Jeremy Sharp should come back in. I haven't been watching Peel footy, but I think he'd come back in pretty hungry to impress and do a job against the Bulldogs. I don't think you can keep rewarding poor form of players. And I know, we've won 11 out of 13, but I feel like throughout that time, O'Driscoll and Amos just haven't been delivering, and the rest of the team has. I was watching that game against Brisbane thinking 4 players could have got subbed off, Frederick, Amos, O'Driscoll, and Banfield. We can get on to Bailey Banfield. We will. But yeah, our list still isn't complete. As much as we have stars throughout our team, there's still holes. And I know you've been looking pretty closely at the WA crop coming through this year, and I think getting some of those guys in is going to be, really crucial for our next few years.
Absolutely. Toby Wan with another 27 disposal display on the weekend for South Freo Colts, who'll be wearing the purple and white next year. So
Is he
yeah, we've got a
guaranteed?
real nice.
Is he defo coming in?
From what I understand, he will be a Fremantle player next year.
Okay.
From what I understand, I believe he will be. And he's putting together a bloody nice patch. I'm not sure if you saw his game a couple of weeks ago, but I think he had 42 and 4.
Yeah,
it was
nice.
a silly display. So
And is he just an
he's
out and
looking
out
very, very
winger?
good.
Is he just like pure wing?
Midfield and halfback.
Yeah, right. Okay.
It's a very silky ball user. Yeah, he'll be a beautiful addition next year. But we don't really want to talk about next year when we've still got finals on the line coming up. It's
I'm not
going to
lie. Like, I'm sorry to all the people listening to this, but I've honestly resigned us to miss finals. I don't know if it's just like I'm trying to like do reverse psychology on myself, where I'm like I've told myself that we're going to lose, and then if we win, it's like wow, happy days. But yeah, I've been to some stinky games at Marvel over the last few years. I saw us draw to Richmond in 2022. Saw us get pumped by the Saints earlier this year. Saw us get pumped by the Dogs last year. Like, there's no part of me that goes to Marvel and think today's going to be a good day. So yeah, mind my pessimism on the post-holiday blues as well. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we can get up for it. But like the Dogs are the best clearance team in the competition, and our midfield right now just isn't clicking. And I know they only played West Coast today, but you can see how much damage they can do to teams. They pumped GWS when I was away by like 88 points, and GWS are a class outfit. So yeah, we are the favourites to drop out of the finals. That's just the facts of the situation. And I'm sorry to the glass half full Freo fans at home, but that's where my head's at the moment.
I'm pretty much in between, to be honest. I think I've resigned myself to us missing finals, but I look at that Bulldogs game. Bulldogs, at the time of recording this, about an hour ago, just beat West Coast by 94 points. But I saw some parts of the game where I'm like, geez, we can catch them off guard there.
Where?
We'll speak about... So what was that?
Where can we catch the Dogs off
Where?
guard?
Well, I really wasn't convinced about their defence still. We've got... You look at what Patrick Voss did to Darcy Moore a few weeks ago. 6 goals, and it was purely based off speed and burning off him. Their 3 key defenders are Jed Buslinger, Rory Lobb, and James O'Donnell. It is not a scary backline. So their contest obviously is really good. Ed Richards having a career best year. Bontempelli. I'm not sure if they're going to risk Treloar. I think he'll be listed as a test. They've got so many guys that run through there. You've obviously got a really informed Aaron Norton and Sam Darcy, who did a number on us earlier this year, even when we beat them. So obviously they've got some great parts to their game. But I think if our ball usage is good enough inside 50, we can beat them. And I think we've got the ability to beat them good as well. They've beaten 2 top 8 teams this year. The Giants, twice. Like, they just cannot play against good teams. They figured out the Giants, but apart from that, they can't play good teams. So I'm not saying we are going to win this game and it's guaranteed and the Bulldogs suck. But what I'm saying is that there's a good chance we can catch them off guard. They've got some vulnerabilities about them that no other top 8 teams have. So, yeah, I'm a little bit more optimistic, but I think the most healthy thing to do is just to resign myself to us not making finals.
No, I appreciate that optimistic view. But the thing with their vulnerability is their strength covers it. Like, their midfield and forward line is so fucking good. That doesn't matter about defense. It's just like all guns blazing. Well,
it doesn't matter against bad teams. Against good teams, it matters because that's why they lose against them.
Yeah.
But I think we've got a game plan that stacks up against a team like the Bulldogs.
I feel like it does on a stadium or on a field like Optus or the G. Marvel, there's something about that ground. It's like, it's impossible to spread. Like, it just feels so confined. Like, I was watching the Dogs, how they moved the ball today. And when they went to the switch, let's say they're on like the sort of half back wing, they'd go like center half back, and then instead of going to the wing, they just like shoot it sort of to the side of the center square. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I can't remember the last time the Dockers have moved the ball well at Marvel. So, yeah, we'll see how we go. That stat against good teams or like top 8 teams is promising. And I liked how JL responded in the post game. Like, how do you get the boys up for next week? And he's like, we're just going to win. We'll go over and give it our best crack. And I think we will. We're not going to roll over, obviously. But speaking of their key defenders, I'm a big Jed Buslinger fan. I'd like to have him at Freo if he decided to come home, to be honest. Like, still early in his career, but he's going to be a gun. And James O'Donnell, has got to be one of the most underrated young players in the competition. Just going under the radar, can play forward or back. I think he's super underrated. Like, you put James O'Donnell on Jai Amos and he's licking his lips.
Yeah. They don't have an anchor, though. Like, I understand what you're saying. I agree. I'm a big Bustlinger fan. And
well, it's Lob, isn't it?
Third string key defender. Well, it is. Lob technically is the anchor, but if you look at the good teams, if you look at the top 9 and their best fullback, Rory Lobb is clearly sitting 9th in that sort of department. That's why they're looking at the Jack Silvani types to bring in next year. So it's clearly something they need to fix up, and that's why I think maybe the Bulldogs are a step off.
Let's say, right, to win this game, at a minimum, we just have to match them in clearances and in the midfield. How do we do that when, like, when we played them early in the year, they didn't have the Bont, and the Bont is notorious for torching Freo. Like, what do we do to stop the Bont, and how can we make our midfield just click? Is it as simple as Hayden Young comes in? I don't know if it is. Like, does Shea Bolton need to play more time on ball? Is it Jager O'Meara? Like, when has our midfield looked the best this year? And how can we bring that against the Dogs?
What Jager O'Meara is going to have to do is play the most important role he's played all season. He's the man on Ed Richards for me. I'm not sure if we double tag. I'm not sure if O'Meara goes to Bont and Wagner goes to Richards. Wagner obviously can't go to Bont. Just doesn't make sense whatsoever. But one of John or Wags is going to have to absolutely shut down Ed Richards. He's the England Underground guy. He's the guy who wins the clearances. And he's the man that makes the Bulldogs midfield click. Bontempelli can do whatever he wants on the outside. Like, he torches every team he plays. He's a very, very hard man to tag. I think we're just going to have to let Bont be Bont. But teams have beaten the Bulldogs letting Bont be Bont. So I'm not overly fussed about that. We just have to let good players be good players. So I agree. If we match the clearances, we give ourselves a really, really good shot at winning this. When we get inside 50, I think we can torch them. We can consider bringing in an extra small. So whether that's playing Shea Bolton more forward time or bringing in Isaiah Dudley, who feels like he's going in and out week in, week out, but 3 goals, 2 on the weekend, and the waffle looks really good. So, every time he goes back down to the twos, he's responding in a great way. Like, we've never disputed Duds is a great state league level player. Like, very good in the sample, very good in the waffle, but, he's not necessarily bringing it to AFL level as consistently as we'd like him to. So he's an option, obviously. I certainly don't think Shea being in the middle is the answer. I think we need him forward of centre and just the polish and creativity he has, especially considering Hayden Young and Nat Fyfe. I think both have to start this game. So straight after the game, I had this conversation with Dad, and I was on the other side. I was saying one of Young or Fyfe has to be sub next week. We cannot have both of them in the same team. But my mind has just changed throughout the weekend. This season is on the line. We need our big bodies in there. Even if we sub Fyfe out after 3 quarters, we need blokes in there from the start that can win us clearances, go head to head with the big bodies in that Bulldogs midfield. Like, there's no time to waste. I think we just need to chuck an extra midfielder in the team in particular, and we need to let John be physical. We need to let Youngie get his outside run going, and we need to let Nat Fyfe play the team role. And we know what Strong and Andy will bring.
Yeah, I don't know if Fyfe can do it for 4 quarters, though.
Maybe 3.
And, I don't know where Hayden Young's at. His season's been so stop-starty with injury. I don't know if he has the confidence in his body to go 4 quarters as well. He said that he feels ready. And I don't think the injury that he sustained was really that significant. But he's obviously not going to have that much confidence in his body. Good call on Wagner going to Richards. He didn't have his best game on the weekend, Wagner, but obviously he's been out with injury as well. Only just come back in. Having this conversation about Amos on the True Footy live stream as well. If your key forward's only getting 3 disposals, you're probably better off bringing someone in that can have an impact at ground level. So maybe it is a Dudley, although I doubt Jai Amos is going to get dropped. Heath Chapman's going to have to do a role on the Bont. That was spoken about last year before Heath Chapman got dropped. Don't know what that's going to look like. What has actually been our best midfield performance this year, if you think? I can't even think of it.
The Giants game, maybe?
Yeah.
I think we torched the Giants. That was the first game Shea Bolton went into the midfield. No, it was the second game because we played No, it was the third game. We played the Saints and got smashed. Hayden Young got injured at halftime. Shea went in there. The game was already over, so we couldn't do anything. Collingwood, he sort of eased into it. The Giants, he absolutely cracked in to the middle from the start, and he had a big game. So I'm not saying Shea's the answer, but as a midfield performance as a whole, Shea, and just our ball movement as a whole that day, that was a day Cooper Simpson was absolutely brilliant. And we'll get on to Bailey Banfield later and some of his possible replacements, but I think we've got to look at our best ball users and we've got to look at what's worked in the big games this year. That being said, I don't necessarily think there's been a consistent sample size because different midfields have worked against different good teams. So it's very, very difficult to sort of work out. The Bulldogs sort of mold as a midfield is just big bodies, tough, they get in there and they get the job done. I don't know what we do about that, to be honest. I'm not sure if that performance against the Giants would necessarily reflect what we have to do on Sunday, but it's a hard one.
Yeah, no, they're one of the toughest midfields in the competition to come up against. So yeah, JL, he's going to make his money or, look a bit silly. We're going to find out on Sunday, but it's going to be a massive tactical battle in the midfield. Speaking of the sort of Wagner-Banfield dynamic, I remember saying on the podcast when Banfield went down back, and we've praised Banfield in the role that he's done in defence this year. Like, he has played with courage. At times, his left foot has looked silky. But I remember saying on the pod, Noah, do not be fooled when you play Bailey Banfield in defence, because when it goes wrong, it's going to go terribly wrong. And it did against Brisbane. In that third quarter, he gave away a 50, turned over the ball multiple times, and Charlie Cameron made him look silly. Now, if you had have told me at the start of 2025 that Bailey Banfield would be a best 22 defender, we would have laughed at you, right? Cooper Simpson and Brandon Walker are in the twos. Those are two players that we want to see in the team. And I feel like Walker's form in the back end of last year was so strong. As a lockdown defender, that game against Essendon, being at that game, he was so good that day. Obviously, Simpson, smaller sample size, good ball user. Haven't really seen what his sort of lockdown ability is like. It'd probably be on par with Banfield. Probably can't speculate on that. But, yeah, I feel like that's another position that we really need to look at because, that Dogs forward line is dangerous. And, I don't really know what to do there either. What do you make of that whole situation?
Well, I think Cooper Simpson's the guy that should be coming in. Because I look at sort of the small forwards that the Bulldogs have. The one that really worries me is Riley West, but I can back a Carl Warner to go and do the job there. He's given me enough confidence throughout the year where he can lock down on one small forward. Apart from that, at ground level, not too much worries me about the Bulldogs in that forward line. Like, where their threats come from is obviously Sam Darcy, Aaron Norton. Sean Darcy's going to have his work cut out for him because Tim English loves to float forward and take big clunks.
He's done that. He's done that multiple times to Darcy as well. Like, he is just like, ruck tap, I'm charging forward. Like, Sean Darcy knows he's got his work cut out for him.
Absolutely. So I don't think that Brandon Walker would necessarily be the correct inclusion. Like, if we brought him in, I would not be sad whatsoever. I agree. Form back in the last year was brilliant. But I think 2 lockdowns in a game like this is a little bit overkill. I think having a good ball user from the back half is going to be critical. And as you mentioned, Marvel's a weird little ground. I think we're going to have to sort of use the corridor a little bit more. We've been in quite a straight line team throughout the second half of the year. I think we're going to have to go a little bit more corridor orientated and move it a little bit quicker, similar to that Giants game. That's the game I'd sort of compare it to in terms of how we need to perform. So, I think Cooper Simpson would be a really good inclusion this week. But as a whole, I think Bailey Banfield just cannot play on Sunday, and I don't think he will.
You think he gets dropped?
Yeah, I don't think he'll play. I think JL will pull the lever.
How hard do you reckon JL swings the accent? Like, heading into the last game, he seems pretty optimistic. Like, we've won 11 out of 13. Don't want to go too crazy. But from what we saw against the Dogs, it's like, against the Lions, Bevo's probably going like, we can get him there, we can get him there, we can get him there. So what do you want to see and what do you think will realistically happen?
We look at good teams. Like, Brisbane just made 4 omissions against us on the weekend. Like, good teams do swing the axe. I'm not sure if Justin Longmuir is necessarily a coach that does this. There's been a couple times in the past few years where he's just gone bang 4 omissions, but it doesn't happen too often. Hayden Young will play. Can guarantee you that. I think even if he's 50%, we'll play him as sub. He just absolutely has to play this game. And I think there was a chance he probably could have played last week, but we've held him off for a full game this week. So Youngie will play. Banfield won't play. I think I can nearly guarantee that. I do not think he'll get picked next week. So that won't be a like-for-like change, but I think one of O'Meara, Erasmus,
It's got to be O'Driscoll, hey? I don't think...
yeah.
I reckon,
Sorry, I forgot about O'Driscoll.
Banfield and Drewz probably come out.
Yeah. Okay, Banfield and Drewz out, for Young and a Simpson or Walker?
Yeah. I would like to see that. I wouldn't have the most confidence in Simpson just because he's only played a couple games at AFL level in that role. But, yeah. I don't know, maybe he's
done it against a good team. Like, we absolutely smoked the Giants that day, and Cooper Simpson was one of our best players. So it's not like he can't stand up on the big stage. NG Stadium's a massive stage. He did it in front of 2,000 people. Why can't he do it in a mini final in the last round?
I was buying tickets today thinking like, oh god, everyone's going to be hot on these tickets. It's going to be a big game, and like the whole stadium was empty. I'm like, alright, sweet. But man, as if like all the content we've done this year, starting the channel, God, it's going to be such a good year. And of course it boils down to the Dockers on a Sunday arvo in the last round of the season. Like, for fuck's sake.
It's the most predictable thing though, isn't it? You wouldn't have it any other way. You wouldn't. Well, what is a comfortable top 4 finish? A comfortable top 8 finish? It just doesn't exist in this football club.
Yep. And it's like the games that you sort of, in like May or April, you're like, oh, we lost that one. Oh, we lost to the D's at the G, but we'll come back. Oh, we lost to Sydney at home in round 3, but we got the whole season. No, those points that you missed, they catch up to you.
Yep.
And now we don't sit comfortable in one of the most competitive seasons in recent memory. Can't wait to go into Marvel with my tail between my legs. Gonna be shit myself. I haven't said anything about Nathan Fyfe retiring, by the way. I know you guys spoke about it on the last pod, but were you too young to remember like his first game against Richmond?
Yeah, I don't remember us in the anchor.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
2012 round 1's the first game I can ever remember.
When was that?
2012 round 1. Matthew Scarlett punched Ballantyne. I remember that game. It was the first one I can remember.
So Fyfe wasn't too long before that, but I remember his first game, like just drifting across packs and taking those marks. He's my favourite athlete of all time. You said it well. You've done a lot of Insta stuff on him, and like he dragged us through a good 8-year patch, 9 years, just giving it his best. I had the chance to meet him last year, and he was just the most genuine, down-to-earth, good bloke. It's a shame that injuries have caught up to him, but the way that he played throughout his prime, just like throwing himself through packs, jumping at everything. He was such a good finisher for goal. All those highlights that are coming out, like, in general play, he was so good. But, the whole do it for Fifey thing, it does add a little bit of motivation. But yeah, we gotta win this one and see how we go. But yeah, it's gonna be a tall task to get the flag, let alone to make finals. But yeah, what a legend, the greatest of all time, Nathan Fyfe. Hopefully we can put a campaign into September for him, and have one last charge for our all-time great.
Yeah, you just mentioned the Instagram stuff. There's one thing I want to point out. The post I chucked up yesterday regarding our 2022 season and the similarities that face us this year. So 2022, Melbourne were the reigning premiers. They were hot. They were probably the team to beat. They smoked us on a Friday night game where we really needed to win to cement ourselves in finals. We got absolutely smart. I remember that game very, very well. We were wearing the 3D anchor. Luke Jackson was playing for Melbourne. Freo jumpers were being thrown at him. It was a dour Friday night where the whole league was watching. You fast forward to the next week, Fremantle play the Western Bulldogs at Marvel. We absolutely have to win to make finals, and we beat them by 20, 30 points. And that was a good Bulldogs team at the time. They'd just come off a grand final the year before. So we have been here before. Eerily similar situation. David Mundy announced his retirement around that time as well. We get up. I think Fremantle's a club that's very based off emotion.
Yeah.
And I think we ride these sorts of things very, very well. I think our playing group tends to, and I think the fan base tends to as well. I think we get motivated by these types of things. I think it was a massive distraction leading up to the Brisbane game. But I think we can put that behind us and we can purely focus on the footballing side of things. And when we get out there, that's when we can let the emotion out in doing it for Fifey and making sure that this game isn't his last and getting him right to the finish line. Yeah. So I don't want people to start running through brick walls while listening to this podcast, but I really hope we can just take that motivation to the football field and actually show the heart and passion that this bloke deserves.
Yeah, there's a balance between like using it as motivation and also just like staying focused on the process. Like how much does JL harp on about just like day to day, win the moments, whatever. And then it's like the best player our club has ever had. You know, Pav is in that discussion as well. I don't really want to get into that right now. Who's better out of Fyfe and Pav? But like it does take away from that focus. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough one, but if you're Nathan O'Driscoll and you grew up with a photo of Nathan Fyfe on your wall, you want to play better than having 5 touches against the Lions if you're still on the side. But yeah, I don't really know what more needs to be said. We're going to do a podcast next week and we're either going to be ecstatic or depressed. There's going to be no in between.
It is going to be I mean, the fan camp next Sunday is going to be an all-timer. We could either be on... I think if we win, we'll be on for about 45 minutes, an hour, just saying, thank God, now we focus on the elimination final, we've got that out the way, blah, blah, blah. Or we lose and we're on for 3 hours and we're just recapping the entire season. I think it only goes 2 ways, and we're all just depressed and we're thinking about the good memories and, you know, we're thinking back on Fifey's career. We're talking about that goal against Geelong and the Dangerfield duel. It's going 2 ways. Next Sunday is going to be an emotional roller coaster.
God, I tell you one thing, win or lose, I'll be at Electric on Sunday night. I'll be having an end of season party.
It is. I cannot believe it's come down to this. Well, next Sunday is going to be the biggest game of our season, and it's going to determine our emotions of next Monday's podcast and the entire off season, and whether we can actually enjoy this channel in the foreseeable future. Drewz, it's good to have you back, mate. But geez, we've got a big 7 days ahead, don't we?
Yeah, it's going to be a nervous wait for Sunday. There's going to be so many thoughts running through my mind and the whole Freo Faithful's mind for the next week heading into that game. I don't really know what is like left to be said, to be honest. Doesn't get much bigger than this in the regular season. But yeah, thanks for welcoming me back. Thanks for holding it down whilst I was gone. We're 50 subs away from 1,000 subscribers, Noah. Yeah. If you've made it this far into the podcast and you're not subscribed, please make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. If we can hit 1,000 subs by the end of the season, that would be unreal. And yeah, we've had a lot of fun this season. Hopefully we can keep it going into finals.
How about that? Little old Fremantle getting a fan channel to 1,000 subs in its first season. How about us? We are massive. Also, a big shout out to Zach. We haven't mentioned him this pod. He
big up, Zach.
Joined me on the pod for 6 weeks. We actually brushed shoulders with each other after the game on Sunday, and I was about to go grab him, and he was steaming ahead. I think he was off to the Cass. So if Zach's listening, I hope you had a good Friday night or whatnot. And yeah, thanks for holding down the fort. It was much appreciated. Good to have you back, mate. Huge 7 days ahead. We'll see you all next time. Thanks for the support, and up the Dockers.
Come on, Freo, get it done.